Welcome. It's our penultimate broadcast of the day, and we're going to be discussing the Giles show. And what a wonderful and beautifully dressed panel I have with me.
Oh,
we have Hilary Alexander, Jane Sheperdson, Camilla Morton, and Virginia Bates.
Thank you.
To our panel. How are you all enjoying London Fashion Week so far?
Brilliant.
What have you enjoyed the most?
I loved Chris Kane.
Yeah.
And Erdem, and I can't wait to see J.W. Anderson, and also Mary Katranzu.
Yeah, Mary's show was amazing.
Oh, so beautiful. Oh my God.
Everybody was talking about the show today. I didn't see it, sadly.
I think Virginia enjoyed Christopher Kane for different reasons. Explain to people what on earth has happened here.
Well, unfortunately, I've had
Fashion casualty.
Having loved Christopher's show, and especially the Boris Karloff T-shirt, rushed backstage to congratulate him, all lovey-dovey, kiss, and the rest of it, came out, thanked the security for letting me through, and then managed to do a fantastic fall and ended up sprawled, not very gracefully, sprawled on the floor. And I'm now, after this, obviously, waiting for the ambulance to get a casualty. But this is a nice stop-off. And then I limped to Manchester Square to see Erdem. His show was beautiful.
That's
so that was kind of therapy and sort of very soothing.
And you can relax in our studio. It has a kind of a clinical...
Yeah, no, it's good. It's good. And I'm loving the stool. It's so chic.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
And we've put the hat there to hide the sole of my foot, which isn't very attractive. And it's just getting bigger and bigger. I can feel the foot's about to explode.
Well, just don't for the next hour, all right?
No, I've got the cake and the champagne. I'll be cool.
I limped for 45 minutes trying to find a taxi up to Burberry. Nice cane.
Thanks for the tip.
I injured my knee when I was building a dam.
As you do.
With my 26-year-old
godson. That's a less elegant reason than attending a Christopher Kane show.
I know, it was much more athletic. It's very athletic.
I think that's cool. I think it's better.
So talking of the stars of London and kind of the pace of London, as we've been talking about, are we excited for Giles? Giles is someone that, in my opinion, kind of transformed London. He's the sort of one of the earliest ones that sort of put London on the map. Would you agree?
He's always a bit of a barometer because of who he's worked with and because of Katie Ground's amazing styling and the sort of roll call of models. This is the show where you see proper supermodels and you see it's a different level of slickness to what else is going on in London. I mean, he started, I could eat my words, but he started showing before Erdem, Christopher Kane, and I think there's a real buzz. There's always a real buzz around Giles because he's been very successful in Milan, he's been very successful in Paris, and I think it's great that he keeps his own label true to London. Wouldn't you?
And actually, I think if you look back, he was the first person really to do that kind of cartoon chic.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah. Way before. Remember the flying saucer?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, the Pac-Man.
Yes,
and
the
Pac-Man.
It's pure fantasy, isn't it? And it's just that's
brilliant.
what's so wonderful about it is it's just escapism, fantasy. Yeah, really bonkers. You never have
makes
a
you
clue
laugh and just want
what
to
it's
be a part
going to be like.
and play.
It surprises you every time.
But do you think that's kind of a symbol for what London should be, London at its best? It's that incredible skill, and the garments and the dresses are real showstoppers, but there's always that playful element, whether it's in the headpieces by Stephen Jones or whether it's the footwear, and it's Tabitha Simmons doing the footwear this time, so it's sure...
I think because it's quirky, and also because the designers in London take risks.
Yeah.
Yes,
which you don't get that same element, say in Milan or New York. You don't get people really just going off the wall.
And they have the twist.
Yeah.
You know, you'll look at something and you think, oh my God, that's great. And then there'll be twist, have sort of bonkers bit of
There's such an
perspex.
incredible sense of humour.
Yeah.
It's
Love it.
and a really
Love
British
it.
sense of humour, I think. Because you don't quite know where it's coming from, and it's so unusual.
Well, it's like Philip Tracy last night, with the Michael Jackson. He got all of the
the costumes.
I mean, it was amazing. I mean, Hilary was in a much better seat than me as usual. But there was the Thriller jacket, there was the sparkly glove.
Yes, you had a seat. Sorry.
Well,
Who's bad? I mean, I was opposite Kim Cattrall and Brian Ferry, as you are.
fabulous.
Sorry. Who?
But it was just...
So you had a crap seat.
It was a real experience.
Yeah.
Like, London can do.
But it was like an old London show.
Yes.
Sort of like the mob scene to get in, to sort of fight through to the
an
Royal
early
Courts.
Galliano or
like Paris.
It reminded me of when McQueen showed at the Spitalfields, in the church back when he showed at Spitalfields. It was that kind of sort of sense of urgency and drama to get in.
How about the Borough Street Market?
Oh God! Yeah.
I remember clambering over, those big air conditioning ducts, and I happened to be wearing spike heels. And I was terrified they were going to puncture the air conditioning.
Well, that's something I want to talk about, is that sort of drama and that humour and that excitement. And I guess the theatrical nature of the show is kind of a real piece of entertainment, because that's something that Giles does really well, but that's something that we all love. Like, we all sort of talked about Philip Tracy and how can you not?
A proper show, full on.
Well, it's a spectacle. I
Yes.
think in other cities perhaps they're more aware of the business, but in London maybe the business has always been maybe the business is a little bit more of a loose end, but because of that you kind of let rip and have a bit more fun with it, and I think the spectacle really grabs your imagination.
And he clearly really loves this. He loves to put on a show.
Yes.
I mean, it is a bit like being on stage at the theatre. He's choreographing it. All the models are characters. He's given them, their roles. It is like a show. He clearly loves that as much as designing the clothes.
And he only does it twice a year.
Why not?
Go for it.
It's
full on.
fantastic.
And then, let the hard business be done in the showroom.
Yeah.
Yes.
But the catwalk should be
But at least
fun.
we can remember the fantasy
And you
feeling
remember it. You go away with a lovely feeling, don't you? You've had a show. You've been entertained.
Yes.
Someone mentioned costume, which I think is a really interesting word for Giles, because beyond the show itself, I think there is still that kind of theatrical element, that's that transformative element to his clothing. You kind of put them on and you can become someone else. Do you find that that's something that women look for when they shop?
Absolutely. Well, they do, obviously, when they come to my shop. And it's being part of that history, that moment, and the mystery of who wore it and where's it been, and giving it another life and moving on. And it's entertainment as well. It's just
and it's wearing like almost, we are wearing a piece from a moment in time with his, very much so. I mean, if you could look back very easily, like we all did, and say, that was the Pac-Man era, that was that, you could kind of trace the timeline back, and they are these very, very kind of obvious.
The burnt chiffon.
They are kind of costumes in a way, aren't they?
I'm using some of those in Fashion for the Brave on Thursday.
Are you?
Giles has lent 4 pieces and I'm thrilled.
Oh, great.
Well, what are you doing on Thursday for Fashion for the Brave?
Well, it's a big charity fashion gala for the Household Cavalry. And it's raising funds for what they call the Operational Casualties Fund.
Excuse me?
It's soldiers who are wounded, disabled or killed in Afghanistan and their families. So it's really a big deal.
Oh, well done, Hilary.
It's
fabulous.
Fun. Yeah, fun.
Yeah, but
and so many designers, Stephen Jones, Philip, like Erdem, Chris, Giles, so many designers, Marchesa, Jenny, they've all lent clothes.
Oh, great.
That's brilliant.
And from going to all the London shows, Hills, what do you think makes London different from other places?
Well, I think it's a lot to do with all the things we've been discussing. That designers want to take risks. They're not afraid to take risks. They want their shows to be a bit of a spectacle. And it's not just purely about the bottom line. It's not about a kind of sort of predestined, expected parade. It is full of surprise and sometimes shock and awe and wow.
Sometimes
you want that X factor, the wow factor. Don't you think, Jane?
No, I completely agree. I'm just thinking though, because so many other shows are also spectacular. The Prada shows are always incredible.
Yes.
But there's something different, I think, with Giles, and that it is. They are actually characters, or that's how you see them. They kind of, in a way, it comes to
There's
life
a very
little
strong
bit.
narrative.
I think it does. I think it does.
Does he, before the show starts, does he prep the models? Like John always used to do sort of like the big build-up.
He's very specific with his models. He uses a lot of the big girls. I mean, in his first show, he had some of the sort of the real supermodels, and he's used people like Kelly Brook and Abby Clancy. He has a lot of fun with the girls he uses.
I think he does use character girls more than he uses sort of everyday twiglets. I think he does sort of go for girls that can...
He's not afraid of a bust.
No, he really isn't.
Which is sometimes unusual in fashion.
Well, we could see that
shape,
with
darling.
The Kelly Brook look. He's very sort of...
Yes.
Yeah.
absolutely beautiful dresses.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
But we all talked about the kind of the creativity and the excitement and the showmanship of Giles, but I think also he's been very shrewd in the way he's kind of planned his career, and it's easy to forget that he didn't just kind of start straight out, because he seems to have always been sort of so central to London, but he really cut his teeth at other labels, and he tried out a number of things, and we mentioned sort of Bottega Veneta before we started. And I think he's had quite a measured career in how he's built his brand. Would you agree?
Well, I think he's laid really good, solid foundations.
Yeah.
I mean, I think there isn't. It's a bit like a pop career. It's a bit like being a pop star. There isn't such a thing as an overnight hit record. You have to sort of like
Background.
do a bit of background and work at it.
Yeah.
And I think Giles is so well liked in the industry. You know,
That's
whether
true.
he's hanging out with Luella and doing their label, or he's been in a really sort of creative gang for
Katie Grand.
and Giles and Luella, Stuart Vivas.
And even Jean-Charles de Castelbache, for example, which I think, perhaps that laid the early seeds of
the
the
cartoon.
the slightly oversized.
Yes.
If you think about it.
Yeah, because he was a real early cartoon.
Yeah,
Yeah.
totally.
Do you think Giles has ever been sort of overlooked for some of those really big jobs? Because I know he was kind of in the running for that position at Givenchy for a while, but do you think there's always someone that's
Who's
sounds
to
very
say
negative?
he's been overlooked? He might have turned them down because he's got a
I
very
was gonna
good
say
thing
that,
going
yes.
on.
Yeah.
We don't know whether he's been overlooked. I think he could well have been shortlisted and probably was in the running for quite a few things, but I think he's got quite a good little groove going on here. I think, don't
And
you?
I'm sure he'd rather do his own thing rather than be dictated to.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I
and
think
does.
he probably enjoyed doing the Emmanuel Ungaro gig in Paris, but I think he's probably happier here in London because he's got the most amazing studio.
Yeah.
I bet.
And he loves designing, his own kind of look.
His world.
And doing, the experiments that he does. Remember the burnt chiffon, for example, in the last collection.
Yes.
And I think he really exemplifies that kind of collaborative and exciting atmosphere of London. He's done ranges for New Look, but then he collaborates with Stephen Jones on these huge theatrical headpieces, and there's something that's kind of really, I think he kind of set that groove for designers
and he's quite clever. I mean, he always says that, of course, why not do these collaborations as long as you're proud of them, because they make money and it allows him then to do what he wants to do creatively, I suppose. So, why not? I think it's he's a clever guy, isn't he? He's not, he knows what he's doing, I think.
Well, he's playful, but you always get the sense that it's considered.
Definitely.
He did a wonderful collaboration. I can't remember the name of the artist, but the British Fashion Council put on Britain Creates just before the Olympics.
Yes.
Oh,
and
yes.
he worked, various designers worked with different artists.
Yes.
And he put together this extraordinary kind of bodysuit, which was all printed with like medieval knights and ecclesiastical stained windows, with a headdress with feathers like this, and she was carrying this sort of giant kind of spear. It was really arresting, and he said, my dream would be if Florence Welch would wear this.
Oh, wow.
So I hope she does.
But he loves a strong woman. I love this image, so I just want to go to it. But it's Victoria Beckham looking absolutely amazing. And there's this sense of, his real strong.
I think that was the best stressed moment of the closing ceremony. I think that was the standout look. I think her and Giles, I thought it was really clever on
She
her part.
really looked strong,
didn't she? Powerful.
Who do you think the Giles woman is, if you had to? Because his clothes, they seem to have such an appeal, and I think he sits outside someone like Marios, where you think of kind of someone quite sexy and curvaceous, and you think Mary, a kind of...
It's somebody who wants centre stage, don't you think? His muse or whatever. Somebody who wants to stand out, who wants to absolutely be noticed.
I think Tilda Swinton would look like good.
She would.
She would, yeah.
Oh, she's not curvy enough. He's a little bit more meat.
I think the strength of Giles is that he doesn't have this, he hasn't sort of got this restriction of who his muse is. And I think Giles is for more of the attitude and the character of a woman rather than Tilda or Victoria or Kelly. I mean, I think he's so versatile that it's more about attitude than restricting himself to just one muse.
But she's got to be confident.
Yeah.
Oh, super confident.
Super confident.
Team there.
Yeah.
We've rehearsed.
Well, that's good. Somebody
That's what
has.
you were doing downstairs. You come up with a sticky note.
Well, no, we were in the hospital wing.
No, we were working on my foot actually.
Yes,
with a block of
exactly.
ice.
we all mentioned this playful idea and this humour, and we all looked at that sort of with the Pac-Man hat. But I want to talk about kind of wit in fashion and whether that's something that sort of isn't enough. You know, is that something that's not sort of focused on enough? There's so much talk of kind of business or something being beautiful, and is that kind of just fun, do you think, missing a bit sometimes from designers' work? Maybe it's the pace that stops them sort of...
I think it's the money.
I think it's money, and it gets overwhelming, and you get a bit knackered.
And I think perhaps in London, correct me if I'm wrong, but maybe there's a slightly different way of looking at it. Say where overseas designers might have an haute couture and a ready-to-wear and diffusion, here, perhaps it seems to me, they do their wonderful catwalk shows at London Fashion Week, and then perhaps the collaborations they might do with, say, Topshop or New Look, for example, or Debenhams, they become sort of like the diffusion line. So it's almost as if their catwalk is a kind of couture.
Well, this is
laboratory.
This is
I mean, I know
way.
couture is as misused as the word supermodel, but this is very kind of close to couture. It's real craftsmanship.
Grand, isn't it?
But I also think, don't you think, when we went to shows, when we were sort of like jumping around on buses, going to Lee's early shows in godforsaken areas of London where you would only go to get shot, it was a beg, borrow and steal type attitude, and nobody in London ever had a budget or anything, so we all rubbed sticks together, and I think that devil may care attitude is what gives it that element of fun, because you're just doing it for the blast of it.
I remember, interviewing Lee in the very sort of early stages when he was with New Gen, and he was saying how he used to cut out his patterns on his aunt's or sister's shag pile carpet, seriously, and I'm sure, Giles went through a similar, kind of early period, student just graduating, trying to get a foothold on the ladder.
Well, they all did. Look at, John.
Totally.
But it's genius, isn't it?
Yes.
But
I think it's formative.
Embrace more, because I think sometimes young designers, they're so pushed into kind of...
Yeah, I do.
Even just showing in the first place. We actually talked about this during our Burberry discussion, and kind of how the show, as much as we love it with someone like Giles, and it is so fun, it's kind of fetishized. If you don't do it, you're not kind of on the map as a designer. And do you think there is that pressure for young designers to kind of have it all worked out?
I think sometimes having it all is a problem. I think when you have it all, it's not so great. It's when you don't have the budgets and you have to be a little bit cleverer and be a bit more creative and inventive, then it becomes more exciting, more fun.
But I think you do need to, it's almost like an apprenticeship in a sense. I think you've got your student career, whether it's Central St Martin's or London College of Fashion, Kingston, Ravensbourne, whoever, Royal College of Art. Then I think perhaps the next 2 years should be considered the apprenticeship, when you either are working for someone else like Giles did, or you're sort of really studying your craft before you feel ready to
go out,
kind of unleash your vision on an unsuspecting
I agree.
world.
I think a lot of designers do show too early, before they've even really established what they are or who they are, and then you kind of rather agonisingly watch the next sort of 2 or 3 shows thinking, well, are you this? Are you that? You haven't quite defined it yet. And I don't really want to see it until it's defined and powerful, and you can sort of see it in a sense.
Well, also, they might just miss the boat. And then it's
peaked too early.
You've had your moment and it's gone.
Yes, and people saw it and didn't like it, or it wasn't ready yet, so that walked away.
What would you rather see them do? Would you rather see them, kind of showing as a collective with something like Fashion East, or going to a brand working in-house for a while? What do you think?
I think a mixture of all of it. Either I think it's very useful to go and work for a house, but I think even doing small collectors with other designers, small salon shows, fine little presentations, there's nothing wrong with that. If you really stand by your collection and you think it's wonderful, people will start to come, word of mouth will spread, you will start to get your profile, you'll get your profile through doing that. You don't have to go straight into a show. The worst thing is doing a show when you're not ready and it looks a bit half-cocked and it's just bad. We've all been to shows like that where you just feel so embarrassed.
You wince.
Yes.
And you shouldn't run before you can walk. I mean, that old phrase is there for a reason.
Yes.
You should just sort of... I mean, you were very impressed when you went to see James Long in the St Martin's Hotel this week.
He's really cracked
and he's
it now.
taking it really, really
Superb.
really steadily.
Small show, but, I mean, unbelievable. And the workmanship and the inventiveness, it's superb. It's beautiful.
I think J.W. Anderson sort of did a similar thing.
Yeah.
And then, as we can see with Giles, do you know what I mean? I think you'd said, Camilla, he sort of had a rather defined career path. Perhaps he thought about this in the way he worked for different people in different cities before he really committed himself under his own name.
Do they sit down and plan it, or is it just luck the
Should
way
they
it happens?
sit down and plan it? We actually had this debate, and I'm really interested to get your opinion, because I was talking to Hal Davis from Central St Martin's, and we said, should the colleges be teaching sort of business and strategy as well as teaching design?
Absolutely.
And there was, like, I'm intended to say no, because I think there's something that's so sort of wonderful about St Martin's. But do you think that's something
you get when I was at St Martin's, I was doing a 4-year sandwich or whatever it was, and I decided that I could do internships and badly paid rubbishy jobs while I was at college, because as soon as I left I needed to have a job. So I was fashion assistant, I worked in the window display of Harvey Nichols, I worked for the Telegraph magazine downstairs, that's where Hilary and I first met. Then I worked at, I worked all over the place. I was a fashion assistant, I was a runner, I was this, I was that, because you have to try everything. You have to speed date your way through the entire industry. I didn't even know PRs existed. I didn't, and you have to softly build yourself up, and you find that, if you make these contacts early on, as you're sort of like trying to work out who you are, then somebody becomes a PR of something really great, or somebody becomes a really successful designer, and if you know them right from the start, it's more genuine and you've kind of grown with them.
This is what I think is so great about Graduate Fashion Week, because you get sort of 30 to 40 colleges all together under one roof, all exhibiting, and I think it's a fantastic opportunity for students to kind of see other possibilities. Maybe they've studied fashion design, but then they suddenly, gosh, textiles or digital or marketing or merchandising or actual manufacturing or production in a factory. Computer production might intrigue me, and I think that's the sort of things perhaps to explore. Because you don't know until you try it.
And I found when we went to Trieste, Hilary and I went to this thing called It's in
sponsored by
Diesel.
Oh, okay.
And she gathers all these students from 80 different colleges all around the world, all of these like varied portfolios from every country you can think of, and the accessories are so strong now. It's really interesting how brilliant the handbags and the shoe designers are, and
jewellery.
Hilary would often adopt a random crazy young student.
So how does she get those? Does she go around the colleges and find?
Hilary's got a great eye for finding the new
No, but I mean the girl Barbara who organises it. Also, she works with Renzo Russo, who owns or founded Diesel, and they basically visit something like 80 or 90 colleges all around the world. Israel, Asia, Zambia, Kenya, Chile, all over, and choose, and then you sort of get to a kind of finalist, which is where Camilla and I came in. And Raf Simmons was on our panel that year, and they really have an intensive judging system. We talk to them, we see clothes, we look at the portfolio, and you actually talk to them and try, get them to say, what is it you're trying to express? Why do you want to be in fashion? And sometimes you find it's something they haven't actually asked themselves, before.
It's like the X Factor, isn't it?
It's a bit like Jim will fix it, if anybody remembers that.
I like this idea, kind of sort of going around the world and looking for talent, and this is kind of a bit off topic for Giles, but I'm actually really interested to hear what you guys think, because there are so many sort of other international fashion weeks popping up. So whether it's something like you've got Stockholm, and you've got your kind of Asian fashion weeks, which have such success and people are really going to, and do you think we're gradually going to start to see an erosion of kind of the London, New York, Paris and Milan sort of?
I don't think so. I went to Lahore Fashion Week about 2 years ago, 18 months ago, and I was sort of thinking bombs and burqas, and it was a bit scary, but it was completely different, because the shows didn't really start seriously till about 10:30 or 11 o'clock at night.
Okay.
So that was one thing that's quite different. A lot of the clothing was very, very sort of what I would say for the domestic market. But what was interesting is that the possibilities for it to become more global. Because the fabrics and the embroideries are there, and I think perhaps there's possibilities for those designers to have collaborations
Yeah.
with, you know, people in London or New York or Milan or Paris.
That'll happen.
Yeah.
Well, I think it's sort of like, I didn't hear all of that because I threw a microphone down my top and I had to wiggle around there, but I was just sort of like playing with myself there for a moment. But no, I think it's quite nice when you cross-fertilise people and you
Yes.
get, you know, somebody from London mixed with over, and that's what was exciting about the Trieste thing, because all these people would sort of meet up and come up with different collaborations.
I'm going to Gibraltar Fashion Week with
Are
Zandra
you?
Rhodes in, I think it's about 2 weeks' time.
Wow.
And people are saying to me, Gibraltar, it's tiny. How can it have a fashion
Yes.
week?
But it
It's
is.
going to be
Yeah.
fun to see what
Isn't
they do.
it? Yeah, yeah.
The looks from Giles.
Oh, wow.
So I think we should start.
Yes.
Leather,
What?
laser cut.
Laser cut
Nice.
has been everywhere.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Very nice.
I'll go quite quickly so we get the effect.
Yeah,
of
do
doing
a
it.
flash through and then we can... Oh, there's a
that?
smash glass
Oh, yeah.
thing.
Oh, right, got it. Leather?
Leather.
Yeah.
Leather.
Smash
Spider's
glass
web?
print. I think
No,
it's a
smash
smash
glass,
glass.
right.
It was on the invite as well, the smash glass. Very
Monochrome, very.
Yes.
Bit 60s.
Love the shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah,
really
those
fun
shoes
to
is
Sort of
wear.
Yeah.
echoes the
Oh.
smash glass, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's fabulous.
So very wearable, like these
Yeah.
separate.
Gorgeous.
That's beautiful.
That's
What are the
very
shoes?
nice
They're little
story.
lace up.
Gorgeous.
Yeah, little
Heeled.
kind of lace up heeled brogues it looks like. I think it's got a raffia kind of got the
One shoulder.
Mm.
that's really beautiful.
Now that colour has been all over the catwalk. Sort of, it's a cross between a kind of early mushroom, taupe, beige,
Yeah.
rabbit's paw.
Wow.
I love that silhouette that he does
Yeah,
that.
it's
Beautiful,
Yes.
isn't it?
Well, that harks back to Kelly Brook, you know.
Yeah,
that's-
Kelly
That's,
Brook with
that's
the-
a beautiful dress, isn't it?
I
What
was
is it?
gonna
What
say
fabric
new
is that?
look.
It looks like it's kind of like a
Was it leather?
denim or a leather.
Coated,
This
yeah.
is sequins
Yeah.
from what I can see.
And what is the bottom? Is it?
Is that leather
I
still?
think it's like,
I don't
it's
know, I
sequins,
don't know, I
isn't it?
can't.
I don't know how to
this
say.
is the one peril of viewing imagery online.
Maybe it's
Yeah.
plastic.
Yeah, it could be a bit
Could be
more.
plastic, Christopher Kane style. That's beautiful, that
Yeah, it's
crinkling
really
down
beautiful.
Not
That-
so good for shorties,
That
though.
footwear by Tabitha Simmons really is beautiful. I love that they've done their own thing with it a bit, you know, it's not tied too closely
Yes.
to each look. Very 60s again.
Yes.
Very sexy.
Edie
Black and
Centric.
white.
There's a lot of
Yeah,
shorts,
Edie
isn't
Centric.
there?
Yes.
It's the stripes that Marc Jacobs kind of
Yes,
picked up.
exactly.
They are everywhere, aren't they? Oh, but that's so chic.
I like that.
That's really nice.
Beautiful.
I haven't seen anything from Stephen Jones yet, which is
No,
weird.
I was just thinking that. I was like, where is it?
Oh,
Wow.
Oh, that's really cute.
Fabulous.
God, trousers are really out. Marc Jacobs he's got it right, hasn't he?
Hot
We're all going to
pants.
be walking around in our
Well,
pants.
what do you call those? Or hot knickers?
Yeah, I can say hot, very
Hot
small
drawers.
pants. Yeah.
Well, they're very French knickers, aren't they?
Very.
But it's sexy in his traditional kind of way, you know, it's not overtly sexy, it's sexy in
Yeah.
a kind of witty, intelligent way. That's
Great.
like Kelly Brook.
Love
has
that.
Yeah.
done.
Really sexy.
Is that denim?
Yeah, it looks like a denim
Is
with
it?
an
Yeah.
embossed,
Yeah.
it's kind of got
Sequins or
embroidery on
Chris-
it. Yeah,
probably
That's okay.
Swarovski.
yeah, probably Swarovski.
Love the
That's about
shoes
that.
with that.
Yeah, Tabitha Simmons
Yeah.
shoes are
It'd be
amazing.
nice to see them without the logo over them.
Yeah.
More denim.
Yeah.
And Mary Katranzu did denim as well.
Yeah, she did the Karen Elliott
She did,
collaboration.
yes.
Yeah. We love Mary.
Yeah.
Don't we?
Oh, I love
Oh, that's
that.
beautiful. Is that
Is that
feathers?
feathers?
Yeah, I
It
think
is a
that's
feather
feathers.
bodice.
Feather
This
bodice.
that's a
Is that-
horse print there, which echoes back to that wonderful swan
Oh,
print that he
yes.
did. spring,
Yeah.
summer,
Yeah.
With the swan headdresses,
Is it a
remember?
horse? It's a horse.
Love
Yeah,
that.
it is a horse.
Yeah,
Horse.
that's a horse print.
Is
yeah.
it like a winged horse? Is it? Or?
Pegasus or something.
Yeah, it's Pegasus inspired the
Right.
collection.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah. I love
She's
that horse
beautiful.
Oh, that, I
Where
love
is
that.
it?
Oh, there's the horse.
Lou, where's the venue?
Yeah, there's
print. The venue, it
It's the
is
horse's
the
nose.
It's
the
gorgeous.
the
Stationers
venue.
Hall.
Okay.
it's
Very
beautiful.
baroque. Is that right?
Yeah.
He loves that hint of sort of tradition, doesn't
Yeah.
he? Sort of, you know, oldie,
And I like that he
medieval.
knows when he's got a good idea. You know, that swan print was
Yeah.
gorgeous and he's
Go for it.
Yeah.
done his
Look at
own.
this, though, look at this.
That's beautiful.
That's a bit Florence Welch, isn't it?
You love Florence Welch.
Well, I just think she
has
dresses
fine
amazingly.
Oh,
Wow.
oh, look at that! A horse
is
galloping
gorgeous.
against this skirt.
And
I
that
love
was
Wild,
that
wild
incredible
horses,
when
the
it's
Rolling
moving.
Stones.
That's
Yeah.
gorgeous.
That is
stunning.
I wonder what music they're playing with it.
I don't actually have the music, which is really annoying. 'Cause it was,
I hope it's not Calamity Jane. You know, what was that? Whip Crack Away.
What's that?
I think that's a smaller feather, sort of like a wing print.
I can see a wing.
Yes, it is,
Yeah.
But also you can see how beautifully finished and fitted everything
Mm.
is.
Yeah, that-
you know, you can see
way
the
too
tailors
good.
It's
together.
lovely
Yeah.
to wear.
Yeah.
I love the makeup as well. We talked a bit
Me
about the
too.
makeup at the Mary show and also at the Marius show, you know, just kind of really enhancing the looks, and I think you forget
Who
something
did you
like that.
say did the hair and makeup? I wasn't listening.
The
Tony and Guy.
Yeah.
Oh right.
It's Paul Hanlon doing the hair. I don't know who does the makeup, it's Marion Newman who's
They
done the
look
hot pink
so
nails.
The nails.
Oh,
kind
right.
of glossy, don't they? But understated glossy, it's
Mm.
sophisticated.
It's very current as well, you know, that matte lip that's
Yeah.
kind of everywhere. Oh,
Mm.
wow, that's
Oh, more
beautiful.
leather. Bronze. Isn't that lovely?
Well, with all of his Italian training, he's so experienced with turning battery leather after
Mm.
the takeover.
Yeah.
Oh, of course, yes.
Oh, that's so
Mm.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
There's a kind of a pride to it, which I really like. You know, we've kind of thrown the word regal around a lot in this room today, but there is something, you know, very kind of British and strong about it.
Mhm.
Kate would look wonderful in that.
Which Kate?
Littleton.
Which
Right.
other
Boss.
cases?
We all went quiet.
Oh, wow.
Oh, look at that.
That is fabulous.
I love that he's done the Showstoppers.
And it's got little
So
sleeves, and it's
amazing.
quite modest.
Yeah, it is.
Mm.
We were talking about this return to modesty.
Wow.
It's gorgeous.
That's beautiful.
That's really beautiful.
And Cara Delevingne, she just kind of ruled
Oh no,
London.
I know.
Yeah,
The
Cara
eyes.
really is the girl
The
of
girl
the
of the
season.
season, yeah. That is so
Sensational.
beautiful.
Beautiful.
Stephen
Oh,
Jones.
Stephen Jones.
And one
Hooray.
entrance.
Welcome, Stephen.
That is amazing.
Well done. Fantastic.
Wow.
Oh right.
That could be a horse's mane, couldn't it? Sort of whipped by the wind.
I love this higher neck, you know, and these little sleeves. Like
Yeah.
I was saying
I'll
before,
lose the
we were
bubbles.
talking to Anthony Price about this kind of return to modesty, and he said
Do you need the bubble?
Katie Price killed boobs, which I thought was so interesting. You know,
Yeah.
Oh, how
he said that he
fascinating.
thought sexy wasn't actually about that anymore.
No.
And that's so
But
sexy.
that's so, yeah,
Yeah.
incredibly sexy.
Oh,
Oh my God!
that is
Stephen.
fantastic.
Do you think that's horsehair dyed electric violet?
Amazing.
Fantastic.
It's kind of Pegasus goes to the nightclub there, isn't it? You've got
Disco
one-
Pegasus.
Disco Pegasus. My Little Pony.
Yes.
There we go.
Oh,
My Little
brilliant.
Pony in Studio 54
But
with Bianca Jagger riding it.
amazing.
That is just wonderful. But that's Giles, isn't it? You know, it's the width.
Yeah.
that
Yeah.
Yeah.
really- I love that really
Lovely.
simple, actually. Wow.
Chic.
Wow.
God,
That
Gorgeous.
is very chic.
On her as well. It's
Who's she? She's
perfect.
beautiful.
I
She
don't
is,
know.
isn't she?
She's
Absolutely
gorgeous.
Yeah.
gorgeous.
Fabulous.
Wow. The leather.
Leather.
Mm.
And actually, the way he's
Oh,
so casually
mad,
done
but
these
crazy,
pieces,
but
there's
wonderful.
something very
It's
It's
Blood.
so light,
Yes.
isn't it? It's
Beautiful.
just almost not touching her. Beautiful.
It's kind of an alien,
Mm.
isn't it?
Mm.
Sort of-
Yeah.
There's your warrior lady.
Yes. But she's a kind of sort of from the planet Vulcan.
Yeah.
Well, there's something kind of otherworldly, which I guess is very
Mm.
apt for the sort of Pegasus.
Yeah.
It's kind of very this strength and unattainable, perhaps.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Oh my
Great.
God. Oh my God.
It's like
And
my
And are
lady,
they
but
all
in the
feathers?
best
This is
way.
all a feather dress at the
I
bottom,
don't think
or
this
is
is
it?
feathers. I think this is kind of.
Is it print on chiffon?
Yeah, it's
Was
print
it-
on
is it?
chiffon.
Is it organdy layer twists or?
It's twisted, yeah. It's not a feather, I don't think.
Wow.
But
Wow.
these little bits in here are
Yes.
the feathers. The little
And
Oh,
then
they
I
are.
think
the
at the
black and
top of the
white.
bodice could be feathers, couldn't it?
Yeah,
on the
maybe.
top.
And
So
then I'm
it's
sure
been-
that fringing
It's
on the
a horse's
hat.
mane.
Yes,
Yeah, what's his name?
must be.
Wow.
Maybe that's why the hair is so wild, like a
Yeah.
horse.
Oh my
Oh
God.
my
God.
Oh, I love that.
That's
That
so
is a star
beautiful.
piece.
So beautiful.
Is
And
who's
he's
gonna
got,
be-
he's got his
What a
star model as well,
showstopper.
which is
absolutely amazing.
Decent.
Who's going to be
Amazing.
first to wear that on the red carpet?
Gorgeous.
Or
Yeah,
the
no, it'll
Oscars
be
or...
on-
Yeah.
yeah,
red
that's an
carpet
Oscar
for sure.
dress.
Absolutely.
Totally.
Wow.
And actually that
key
And the
yellow
shoes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just the
Cool.
little kick.
Yeah.
But
I think
also
that
just the ruching around the, but it go back there. Oh, you can't.
Sorry,
Sorry,
can you go back?
but the ruching around
Yeah.
the butt,
Yeah.
the
This.
the bustier there is so complicated to do. Yeah, it's done so.
It looks so easy. I think that's the thing with his clothes. You know, they don't look fussy in any way.
Well, it just looks like it's a quality street there, but it's actually such a complicated fold that he's done.
It's absolutely mind-blowing.
And it's what we were saying about this kind of showmanship and this kind of couture possibility. You have to do something absolutely sort of mesmerising.
It looks like a Walter Crane tile.
Is it
Wow.
embroidered,
Yeah.
do you think, the
It's beautiful.
swan?
I think it is.
Is it actual feathers or is
I
it printed
no,
on
it's not.
silk?
I'm trying to work out. I don't think it's a print. I think
It's applique.
Yeah,
Applique.
Appliqued, it looks
And
like
embroidered.
it.
And look at the beak.
Yeah, I think so.
Is it a
Absolutely
tulle skirt,
amazing.
Hills, or?
It looks, I think it is.
There's,
isn't it?
Yeah.
it's tulle. You can see
You can
it
see the bottom.
at the bottom.
Yeah.
Thinking of swans, I once took this chap to the Royal Ballet to see Swan Lake. And as the Call of Ballet came on in the opening, he turned to me and said, "But they haven't got beaks." In a really loud whisper. Sorry, just an aside.
You put him right out. So
That's beautiful, because is that leather?
Pretty.
Yeah, that's laser
It's
cut.
so
Embroidery
light,
around it.
isn't it? It's incredible.
Yeah.
leather.
This leather, it's just kind of everywhere, and you can see why.
It's
Yeah.
stunning, isn't it?
Beautiful.
Must be so soft.
Yeah.
It feels really modern as well.
Doesn't
Yeah.
it?
Really
Yes,
does.
yeah.
Because Hilary didn't. I mean,
Wow. Oh my gosh.
Wow,
Fantastic.
that's amazing.
That's
and is that laser cut
incredible.
leather wrap?
Yeah,
there?
that's
Yes.
laser cut again.
Wow.
Probably
And
over,
it's
is it
got-
over organza or?
Yeah, I think
looks
it's
like
over organza.
Yeah.
How
It's
does
the
how
bottom.
does
Not
the
a giant spider,
headdress
is it?
work?
Or don't.
On the head.
Yeah, there's something kind of quite sinister about that.
There is
head.
something a little bit. She's been caught in a big spider's grasp.
Isn't it?
What was that
My
dreadful
spider
movie?
lady.
Yes, your spider lady.
Arachnophobia.
Oh, don't. No, I can't even go there.
It's
I think that must be the closing.
fantastic.
look.
Yeah.
Bravo. Well done, Giles. Fantastic.
So what are our first
Incredible.
reactions?
Oh,
What do you think?
I mean, that was a couture show. Come
Yes.
on. Was it not?
beautiful.
Lovely.
Stunning.
Stunning.
And
yeah.
so the laser cut leather, the swan, just gorgeous.
Yeah, the spider.
The sort of
Oh,
the
no,
whole
no, I'm not going
narrative
near
and
the
the
spider.
fantasy was just
Oh,
exquisite.
absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what's most refreshing is it's so true to him. You know, he kept those elements. Like he loves his feathers. He loves his kind of beautiful print that he'd echoed from the spring summer before, and it felt so authentic. I felt, but still
The
absolutely.
horses.
Oh, yes.
Love the
Beautiful.
horses.
That dress, you know, with the horse's mane, just
Yeah.
kind of streaming,
Yeah.
and then the hats that Stephen Jones did, which sort of echoed the whole horse's mane idea.
So
Fantastic.
incredible.
Never changed, Giles.
Well, he does. That's the thing. He changes completely,
But in his
and it's colossal.
yeah.
Yes.
But it's still recognisable.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Isn't
totally.
it?
You know
It's him,
it's
yes.
Giles.
So that's why you know he's kind of reached his stride. I think.
Yes.
Yeah.
Because when you see that, I think it's so heartwarming to see a designer and you just know that they've got it absolutely
Yeah.
right.
Yes.
And season on season, it doesn't really matter because you can tell they're doing sort of the right
Yes. Yeah.
Giles Deacon, the beacon.
thing. What a note to end on.
Well
Should
done,
we give him
Hilary.
another round of
Yeah,
applause?
That's
Yeah.
the swan
Let's give him a
on.
big
Right.
round of applause.
Yeah, another round of
Yeah.
applause.
Definitely.